So we are now nearing the finish line of the programming stage of my game. It's almost 2 years of development on this game, and I'm just about to get finished with the first stage of my game. It's funny how back in the middle of the year during summer, I was thinking that I was right around the corner of finishing that stage. Boy was I wrong though. But here we are now, and this devlog is going to be about endgame content, such as the bosses that I'll be presenting, and what improvements I have made to the game from what I've seen and also player feedback. So let's get ready. And before we get right into it, if you want to give my game a try, yes, you the viewer, you can give my game a try, and it'll be in the link in the description below. And if you want to go even further beyond, there's a survey that you can take where you can give feedback for my game. That would be greatly appreciated. Alright, now let's get right into it. So here is the end content that I'll be presenting, which are the bosses. And when the bosses appear, you'll know because there is a boss health that appears when they enter. Let's first start with mini-bosses. Mini-bosses are considered the royal heirs for the king. They have a high resistance to slow debuffs, so you can't just spam slow debuffs on them. On death, similar to my Trojan enemy, the minions that were carrying them spread out and continue marching to your castle. In addition, they also have a giant swiping attack when coming across any placeables, instantly killing any in their path. And with the final boss, there's kind of spoilers, but it's probably not that big of a deal, which is of course the king himself. There are some similar properties to the mini bosses, and with slow debuffs, he is immune to them. However, the more you damage him, the slower he gets, as the minions that are carrying him shoot out of him. And he has 4 stages throughout his life. The first stage is when he's getting carried, while his minions shoot out projectiles sideways. However, he can get slower as he loses minions to carry him. This will be his second stage. His third stage, after he loses all his minions, he changes gears and wields necromancy to bring back his soldiers back from the dead, stealing the player's souls in the process. And then in the final stage, he is slowly dragging his almost lifeless body, giving one last effort to get to your castle. And when it comes to his attack, he has a giant swiping attack, bigger than the royal heirs. Now, how do you come across these bosses? Well, let's take a look at the negative soul shop. Initially, you see your typical 3 downgrades, but every so often, you are met with a downgrade you cannot turn down, facing a royal heir. As you progress in the game, and you get far enough, you unlock the 4th card, the choice to face the king. And actually, this card is optional, so you can keep playing the game if you want. But keep in mind that the king will be a lot stronger the higher the wave. Not to mention the enemy waves will be harder too. So it's up to you to decide how far you can go. Now let's get into the improvements I've made to my game. Let's start with the Soul Shop redesigns. There is a whole new UI redesign for both the small shop and the big soul shop. Let's take a look at the small soul shop. As you can see in the before and after, there is now no more need for collapsing the UI. It is now a constant element at the bottom of your screen, partly inspired by how Diablo does it. It also looks a lot more clean overall. Tabs are now a thing to better indicate placeable types. There are now icons for dragon upgrades. You now have scrollable UI, which allows for more upgrades and placeables in the possible future. And any extra information will be right in the middle of the soul shop. Now let's look at the before and after of the big soul shop. Very similar upgrades to the small soul shop. There is now better organization of what upgrades and placeables you can get. Also cleaner UI. It's not all bunched up in one place, which is nice. And of course, icons for the upgrades here. And then you have your scrollable UI. And something extra that the small soul shop doesn't feature is that you have a more enhanced version of when you click on an upgrade or placeable. Now let's do a rapid fire of the small but needed features from the player feedback I've got. Let's start with how stat info is displayed. You might have noticed at one point how the statistics are shown for dragon upgrades and placeables. Dragon upgrades show you the current rank you are at now, and placeable stats are more clear as to where they lie. I decided to go with rankings instead of the vague wording I had before, as it gives a more clear indication to the player, as players have their own definition of what is slightly high, slightly low, etc., etc. Stats are color-coded, which gives a faster way of telling what areas placeables are good and bad at, and this can also be seen in your dragon upgrades. There is now a reformatted UI for the Villagerpedia, the negative soul shop, and the player statistics. And now introducing a lock system for your placeables. At the beginning of the game, you only start out with a small select of placeables, but you unlock them permanently as you reach the wave needed to unlock specific placeables. This prevents a new player from getting overwhelmed by the amount of choices, as well as serving as motivation for the player to try to unlock them all. It works well when you're trying to get to the king after all. And now I have a basic save system in place when players need to come back to the game. This saves what placeables have been unlocked so far, as well as any villagers that have been discovered in the Villagerpedia. There is now a new upgrade, a line of sight upgrade. This is a red line that you can enable that helps you aim. You can enable or disable it with the S or down arrow key. Speaking of arrow keys, I've also added support for arrow keys, and it was very easy to do. I'm not sure why I didn't do it in the first place. Apparently I had to be told in the face by a player to add that. And those are the plenty of features I've added for endgame content, as well as improving the overall enjoyment of the game. And if you'll just let me do my Patreon and Kofi plug, here you'll see all free posts, free by the way, and you can check it out, see what's been going on with the game, and if you just want to keep up to date. Although if I'm being honest, as of the making of this video, I've been kind of slacking on posting there, as I've just been doing video updates. But the opportunity is there. Again, you can try out my game, link is in the description. Feedback is very much appreciated. I am currently finishing up the programming area of my game, as I've stated at the beginning, and I'm also working on the design document for the art. So look forward to that in possibly the next devlog or next one after that. Alright, that's about it. Hope to see you in the next devlog.